Hey, what's up, everybody, and welcome to the Jim Carrey Project. This is the project where we are watching all of Jim Carrey's movies in chronological order. And I am your host, Brian Kondrach, and with me, as always, is...
Carrie Grant.
Perfect. We did it. And today, we just finished watching Dumb and Dumber 2. This is a 2014 release with Peter Farrelly and Bobby Farrelly directed and wrote it. Stars Jim Carrey, Jeff Daniels, Rob Riggle, Laurie Holden, Rachel Melvin, and Kathleen Turner. So,
by the way,
what'd
this
you
is our
think?
second take on the beginning.
Yeah, so. Somehow my camera didn't record.
But that's okay.
So take two.
We'll recreate
We'll
it.
recap everything.
Yes.
Anyway, so what did you think?
And I said,
what a mess. I'll let you.
No, I'm just like, why?
Yeah.
Dumb and Dumber 2, and why we figured out the timing on the first take, that it's 20 years later.
Yes.
Did they think this was a good idea?
I don't know.
And that the same jokes would work again?
I don't know.
They don't.
I don't think they do at all.
Spoiler, they don't.
They don't work. So a little recap is there was a prequel to Dumb and Dumber called Dumb and Dumber that was supposed to be when Harry met Lloyd. And it was.
Let me just say, we drank wine. We decided to drink one halfway through because it was that bad.
Exactly.
So I'm already drinking wine. But
it was
talking.
pretty brutal.
Yes.
This was a movie where we were definitely at 40 minutes in. It was just like, we need to drink something because this movie is rough. And now I like the characters. The Harry and Lloyd are funny. And it's just one of those things that, like, it just doesn't fit anymore.
No.
Like, we had
and we're watching it 6 years later, too. Mm-hmm. So it's 2014. It's 2020 now. Mm-hmm. So almost 2021. Mm-hmm. And even in 2020, a lot has happened, as you all know. So there's just, like, some of these jokes are just, I feel like everyone's just more aware of like hurting other people's feelings and being too crass and being inappropriate, and there's a lot of that here that I think, I don't know, it was okay in 94. It's just not okay anymore, or it's not as funny anymore. It's like, it's a little bit funny because you're like, it's kind of funny, but mostly not.
Yeah.
Like, it's not funny enough to really, like, let you enjoy it and relax into it.
Yeah. There's a real big difference between, like, gross humor and, like, cringy humor. And Dumb and Dumber...
And offensive humor.
Like, Dumb and Dumber really opened the gates for a lot of this, like, unexpected, gross, dumb jokes. Like that's what we needed in comedy at the time. That's where it was. And we led to the stuff I mentioned earlier, that it's like something about Mary.
It was very well accepted and very well welcomed and maybe needed at the time.
Yeah.
Yes.
And now it's just so uncomfortable to watch this movie, just because it seems, I made a note about it, and it was actually pretty on later in the movie, but it's like, it feels like everybody in this movie knows that, like, this was kind of a bad idea. Like, to film this movie, like, okay, we get it. Yeah. Going. Like, I feel like if it was acceptable for the characters to, like, break the fourth wall and be like,
they would have been like,
really? We're doing this thing? Like, I almost feel like Laurie Holden had a couple of moments when she was acting where it's like, I feel like she is just like a glance away from being like broken fourth wall and be like, are you in the audience? Like, are you in the theater? Please get out.
Is this funny?
Like, is this funny? Like, like I feel like everyone was on board with it because it is the Farrelly brothers thing.
Farrelly brothers. It's still Jim and Jeff Daniels. It's still really like, it was great before. Yeah. It was different before. We were saying that before. It was like, it's different.
Yeah.
But when you do it 20 years later, it's not different anymore.
And it's
just old, and it's not as funny.
It's not fresh. It's not crazy. No. It's not. And the reason this was made in 2014 is that it's the beginning. I feel like this was the beginning, if not already halfway through, of like the reboot, redo sequel.
Totally. Yes. I think everybody's like redoing
this
sequels
was like
now.
This was like, let's do a sequel to a movie that didn't need a sequel in 2010, 2012, 2014, and then now in 2020 we're doing like, let's do a reboot that doesn't need a reboot, or it's like, oh, that IP is about to like get out of our catalog, so let's reboot it and like make sure it's our stuff.
Yeah.
And so I think that's probably where this movie came from.
Yeah.
It's like, let's get the Fairley. They'll do a sequel, right? Do they want money? Yeah. Here's some money. Let's give it to them.
Here's my first several notes.
Yeah.
Excluding cruel to blind kid.
Yeah, that's a joke that didn't need to be
blue meth, which I didn't even know about till you told me.
Yeah, it's Breaking Bad. That was supposed to be a reference to.
I didn't even get that
one. I was just like, Bryan
what?
Cranston.
There's the blind kid and blue meth. Okay, but a lot of my notes are, Jim did this after so many other amazing movies. Mm-hmm. The first film was so much smarter.
For being a dumb movie?
I can't believe Jim did this.
Oops. Jim, what'd you do? And my third note, Jim, what'd you do?
Those were my first comments besides, why are they cruel to the blind kid?
Oh my
God. Why? Jim, you're better than this. Yeah. You're past this. Jeff is better than this. Yeah. He's past this. Like, why revisit it? It's not worth it. It's not. And it's not a good enough script. It's not a good enough script. And like, I kind of get when like something happens and they're like 20 years later, they're like, something comes along and they're like, I don't know, whatever it is. Even like Saved by the Bell. I mean, I haven't seen the new one, but I would just say it has been rebooted. And I love Saved by the Bell before, and I could see why they would be like, we're going to do Saved by the Bell. But if like something good enough comes along, you're like, yes, it still gives breath to the old one. It's still like is new and different enough, and it like works and combines, and it's still like interesting. Like this was just the same old jokes, the same old gags, maybe to a worse degree.
Right.
Like and the storyline wasn't great. Right. I was just like, you're better than this.
Yeah, there's so many things that it's like you don't get to expand the Dumb and Dumber universe. Because you don't need to expand it, and you don't grow with jokes and comedy if you can't expand it. But as you're saying, like it's just a rehash because you can't go deeper. Who are any of the other people that live in that shitty ass apartment complex with the blind kid? It's a meth dealer, a meth maker, and like nobody cares about anybody else that lives there. Like the city doesn't even care about anything that lives there.
I mean, it's sort of like Ace Ventura 2. Yeah. Like at least the story was different and they went to a new location, but it's like you kind of dirtied up the first one.
Yeah.
You know, and I feel like that's exactly what happened here. And like we didn't say this, but in the first take we did that didn't work. I was like, I did not even know there was a Dumb and Dumber 2 that actually had these two actors in it, because I would have never thought that they would have signed on for something like this, because it just didn't need to happen.
It's like you got enough growth. This is kind of it would fit as an animated world, right? Like the reason The Simpsons has been on the air for 30 years, something like that, is because they never learn from their mistakes. Every episode is the same thing as Homer falls into some antics and the kids have to deal with stuff and Marge has to deal with Homer. No one ever learns anything.
Okay.
Whereas like in sitcoms and shows and movies, that even Ace Ventura, like even Dumb and Dumber, you want someone to learn something. In Dumb and Dumber, they never learned anything, right? At the end of the movie in Dumb and Dumber, they sent a bus full of hot women to another town. They're like, we'll get our break, buddy. And it's like they didn't learn anything. So to do another movie of them, they'll never learn anything. They didn't. So it's like there's nothing worth watching in this one, I don't think.
Because that. Why do people still like The Simpsons?
Because it's that kind of relationship.
You already know.
Because you know what you're getting into. Whereas this one, you kind of expect something. It's like you expect to change. You
invest an hour and a half, 2 hours. Yeah. You expect something.
I can invest 20 minutes and not care. And
20
an
minutes
hour and a half.
The Simpsons is different. Yeah. And it's been on so long, you already know.
Yeah, you already know exactly what you're going to get when you watch The Simpsons. If this had lived up and like didn't try and like it really did try and pull a fast one on us of like this joke is going to be this way but it's not, but it's like those fast ones didn't work. Like, and also there's the joke of just like the random cat fart joke. All the build up of a cat named Butthole and the blind kid with the birds, just to have the cat go into the apartment with the birds to then just fart out a bunch of feathers and walk off a couch. Yeah. Like that's
There was
not enough build-up. No. That's too much build-up.
Well, there was a long build-up to the address joke. Like, they were like, let's go find your daughter. And they're like driving, and it's like a few minutes.
Stop on the street.
And then suddenly they stop back at the mom's house. Yeah. And she's like, that's the return address. And I was like, we just wasted like 3 minutes on that. Why? It's too long of a build-up for that, I feel like.
Well, it's also, you're getting into the really absurd build. Like, you're getting to the super absurd so early on.
It's funny, but it's just too much.
If they had stopped on the highway later on in the movie, it would have been funnier than than stopping on the highway and then going back to the or to the house, right? That bit could have been fine somewhere else. But like in the first 10 minutes of like, let's get on this adventure. Oh, we're back where we started. You didn't need to have that waste of time right there where they're like, oh, let's look at the map. This place is dangerous.
It's too like short and not funny of a joke to waste that much time.
You wasted too much time on it.
I agree.
I do love the fact there are some jokes in here that are really funny for Jim Carrey.
Okay.
He eats at the beginning of the movie 2 or 3 different times. And then it kind of falls off, like the bit falls off at the end. But he's got the hot dog that he eats, like super obnoxiously.
Yeah.
And then there was...
why is that a bit?
Just the way he eats, he puts it in his mouth and he like drops it in. But he did it with something else, and I can't remember what else it was all of a sudden.
Okay. I didn't know it was a bit. I just thought, he's just being silly.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of the choice of the... Okay. That's just how he eats his hamburgers and stuff like that. My notes are all over
my notes are like, so I'm on my second page. This is it.
I thought you only had the other bottom
Is
page.
The world ready for a second one? Is the second one too different?
Mm-hmm.
Why are they doing silly jokes like a dog is barking and spitting all over Jim Carrey? Why do they have Mama June from...
Yeah, it's not even... She wasn't even a part of the real world. She just existed in this, like, fantasy world that, like...
I feel like it dirtied it even more.
They're just rehashing a lot of these really great jokes.
Why are you putting Mama... I guess Mama June in 2014 was very relevant. That's from...
I thought you were going to say real big. She's always been real big. Hey-oh! Terrible jokes.
See, this is why you're going to make those kind of terrible movies. What is it even called? What's the show called?
Honey Boo Boo?
Honey Boo Boo.
Whatever. Like, really, losing you with Honey Boo Boo.
So I would just say this. I think it's a bad idea to put very relevant reality into movies.
Shitty reality TV stars.
It doesn't age well. It doesn't age well if you put Honey Boo Boo in the movie.
Yeah.
5 years later, it doesn't work.
Nobody cares who that person is or who that reference is.
It only works for the year, and then you got to let it go and move on.
But even then, I personally am just like, there's no reason that woman in the Honey Boo Boo show should have existed in the zeitgeist of humanity anyway. Like, there's no reason to celebrate that particular like lifestyle choice, and that's what it is. And this is gonna sound terrible, but it's just like
but that's what I'm saying. It's dirtying up the movie.
It celebrated a very unhealthy lifestyle and the psychological like mental health issues, and it celebrated it. And it was basically that reality TV show is making fun of people that didn't need to be made fun of because they already have enough problems.
Exactly.
And now
it's already bad enough that everybody
watches it. And they're validating the idea. They're validating it. When they're in here and as actors.
I don't want to say we're better than anybody because we're not. Because we probably will watch stuff like that and we probably will like find humor and things like that.
Yeah.
But I do find it a little icky, and I found this whole movie a little icky. Mm-hmm. And like it just happened over and over again for me. Mm-hmm. Like I just go through my notes. I'm just like my notes are terrible. I get that comedy is harder than drama, but. And it takes a brave person to commit, but I don't always find it funny. Why are you licking the grill of an 18-wheeler?
Yeah.
Why are you fingering an old lady? Why, I just don't get it.
I do like the idea that old lady knew what was happening, but it was a little aggressive for her to like get him to do that.
I mean, it's something about Mary. There's a similar-ish thing happening in Something About Mary, which was funny at the time.
Yeah.
But again, Something About Mary had to have been at least 10 years before.
Yeah.
10 to 15 years before,
right?
I
think that it was soon after. I think it was at least
late
2000.
90s. And
it was 99,
We're too far past that. You have to move with the times. Yeah. You have to adapt to the humor. And like we said, there was a couple of funny, really clever one-liners, two-liners. And we looked at each other and we're like, that was funny.
Yeah.
And like... but it was so rare that the rest of it we were just like, oh no, it's not good. I don't like it's still a little bit humorous and a little bit entertaining, but like, because this is what we're doing as the film and the job sort of thing. But it was just like, no, like I want to be entertained in a like pure way.
In a pure way, I guess. And I mean,
but like in a not like I don't want to feel bad about myself or icky about it. And that's what I if you do laugh at some of the fun of these things, we're not there anymore. You can't laugh at them anymore. It's not okay anymore. This
is almost like they were playing the characters of themselves from the first movie in a way, and it's just uncomfortable. And as following on what you're saying about this is icky and this is what I don't feel good about watching this, right in the halfway point of my notes is this is brutal. It's like, why am I watching this?
It's like you're making me feel like a bad person by watching this and kind of finding it funny, but also realizing that I shouldn't find it funny.
Yeah.
But and so I try to like scoop in like, well, this is not offensive, so I will try to say in my mind that this part's kind of funny.
Yeah.
And that offensive part, I'm like, no.
Yeah.
But it's like, why make me choose that? Why put that on me?
Yeah, it can be
like you can be more clever and more honest and more real and like even in 2014, which is still different than now it is. But even in 2014, it was different. Mm-hmm. Like you still could have been better. You could have been smarter. You could have been more clever. You could have been funnier. And they didn't do it. And they relied on us to be stupid enough to enjoy it. Yeah. Sorry, but that's what I would feel. Like I
don't think 2014 was a good year for comedy. I'm looking at some of the top movies of 2014. The Interview, Kingsman: The Secret Service, What We Do in the Shadows, 22 Jump Street, which also I think had Rob Riggle in it. There's just not a lot of really good. Night at the Museum.
That was okay.
I don't feel like 2014 was a great year for
I want to talk about Rob Riggle for a minute because Jim Carrey was Jim Carrey. Yeah. Jeff Daniels was his. They were both their own characters. Yeah. Rob Riggle was new.
Yeah.
And he was a main character. He was in it most of the time, and I found him really funny. Also, Kathleen Turner was in it quite a bit.
Yeah.
And I love her from like old stuff, but even her new stuff I think is really, she's just good. She's different.
Yeah.
So I always enjoy watching her because she's just a different type of character. She's not the like cookie cutter.
She's got kind of
cute girl or whatever. She just has some edge to her, and I like that.
Yeah. And she's always had that. I mean.
Yeah, totally. And so I was paying attention to them because they're new and they're like. Jim and Jeff they're doing what they're doing. There's nothing new there. So let's look at the new people.
Yeah.
And Rob Riggle, and so I actually felt bad because I was like, Rob Riggle, who's that? And I was like, I know him. And I was like, so I read like 5 minutes on Wikipedia about him. And like, I was like, he's like a real
military.
Military person. And he's like, he's been in it for 20 years and he does this and that. And I was like, and he was good in it. And like, I think he was really trying and he did add a lot to it. And same with Kathleen Turner. I feel like she was good in the parts that she was in. And she's always solid anyway. But like, I mean, did it dirty up their kind of resume a bit?
So
I don't know.
Here's my take on it, is that Rob Riggle and Kathleen Turner are living, even Laurie Holden to a small degree. Laurie Holden still holds that place where it's like, really? Like that idea, that concept that I talked about earlier, if it was this episode or if it was this take or the other one, I don't remember. All of a sudden, the idea that she knew that she was in this shitty movie, like the moment where it's like she looks at you, you're like, should we be watching this? Should I be doing this? But like Rob Riggle and Kathleen Turner were the most realistic and earnest characters this one. Like Kathleen Turner's character had emotional stakes involved in this movie, which is so weird. Of like, this is Dumb and Dumber 2. It's like, it's about these two idiots traveling across the country, which is funny when it's just them and their antics. But you threw in the idea of a kid and like someone dying and a kidney failure and stuff, and it's like all of a sudden that comedy takes a very different turn. But like for Kathleen Turner's character, she was not involved in finding the daughter because she thought it was like didn't want to see her.
Yeah.
And yet she goes on this somehow at the end of the movie she's ends up there anyway. There, yeah. And it's like she has emotional investment in finding this girl. Harry and Lloyd don't, except for a kidney or horniness, which the
kidney even turned out to be
fake. It's another. Oh, it was Old Man Crenshaw the whole time. That doesn't work in comedy well. No. That negates all of the emotional stakes that we had in a comedic scene.
Both. You need both. You need comedy, but you need emotional stakes as well.
And so like Kathleen Turner has these like strong emotional stakes, and then she throws the comedy on it about being a Titanic whore, which is a pretty funny line. If you was she on a boat?
Referred to her as that before, yeah.
But it's like, yeah, that's who I am. But also, I have this daughter that, like, yeah, I had sex with all these people, but I had this daughter, and I care about my daughter. I wanted to be connected, and now I'm going to connect with her. Which is like, everybody else has much more emotional stakes than Harry and Lloyd. In the first one, I felt like they had emotional stakes. In Dumb and Dumber, they had emotional stakes. In this one, they don't. It's just a big fart joke. It's not even a fart joke.
It's worse than a fart joke.
There was one really good fart joke. And the idea of trapping someone in the back of a limousine or a hearse.
It was a hearse.
With a window and just farting into it, like... The next time I get a limousine, I'm doing that to somebody.
Are you going to drive the limousine?
No, I'm going to do it to the driver. And then I'll be even more of an asshole.
I think he has control of the window, right?
Too. He can do it.
Oh, my goodness. All right,
but Rob Riggle is...
I feel like I have a new respect for Rob Riggle. Yeah. I will actually look for him in movies and appreciate his acting chops in a lot of them, because I think he does do a good job, and he was completely invested in what he was trying to do.
Yeah.
But it was all in vain because of what the movie was set up.
And that was my whole point of that long tangent with Kathleen Turner, is that Rob Riggle was taking his role so seriously.
And she did too.
And he is a serious character.
Yeah.
But like, it's kind of a dumb character if you think about it.
Totally.
I do love the idea, and the first time I ever saw it was in a Beer Fest, which is a phenomenal dumb comedy as well, probably around the same time actually as this.
Is he in Beer Fest?
No, he's not in it. But they did in Beer Fest. They did the same thing where one character his character's name is Landfill, and he's the one that eats everything, and he like can drink everything.
Yeah.
And he dies in an accident.
He comes back.
But his twin brother shows up. I
love that.
And it's not just that it's his twin brother, but it's his twin brother that the joke is that, he told me everything about you, so we don't have to we don't have to go through that awkward getting to know you stage. Also, just call me Landfill in honor of him. And so it's basically, he's dead, he steps in, and it's basically it's the same thing, which is a phenomenal joke. And it almost works in this one. There's enough differences between Rob Riggle's two brothers in it that like it's funny.
It's funny, but
the concept is still the same. You better watch out, my twin brother's in the special forces. He gets things done, and then dead. And then the best jokes of this movie were the camouflage jokes.
They really were.
And all of a sudden, you and I are both just sitting there watching it. And this is Rob Riggle being great in this movie.
Rob Riggle
and it's good. Like, this scene is terrible and boring, but good. What is happening
Rewind it.
And we did that twice.
So basically, there was a podium of it was like outdoor.
A stone pillar.
Stone patio and stone pillar. And they had him disguised as the stone. It's all these bits and stones.
Body painted.
And he even talks, and you don't even notice it. I noticed it first, I think, before you, but he walks out and then he starts talking. But you can see him talking, and I'm like, he looks just like the stone.
Great.
And then they play the joke again a couple times with a vending machine.
A vending machine, which is hilarious.
Yeah.
And Doritos, Funyuns.
It's really
all
funny.
This stuff.
It's really funny. I think it's a little wasted on this movie. I feel like someone should do that joke again in a better movie.
Yeah, I know. It's like, that was the thing. If you weren't paying attention and you missed it, you'd be like, wait, why is he covered in paint? But the fact that we both were watching, and then it was just like, what?
It needs to be in a movie like Beer Fest where everything's a joke, and so you really appreciate all the jokes because you know it's coming.
Yeah.
It was like a random joke in a movie that wasn't all that funny.
Yeah.
So
oh my god! I think he was probably one of the stronger actors in this one.
He was.
We did get to a point we should probably talk about Jim Carrey, actually.
I don't think there's much to say.
So,
he tried to be the same character.
I know.
It was the same as he was before.
Yeah.
I'm
go ahead.
Sorry, disappointed.
A little disappointed. In him. I do want to point out, and I don't know if people realize this who have watched this before, Kathleen Turner was the lead in Peggy Sue Got Married.
Yes.
Another Jim Carrey movie that we've watched before. You can check out that link here. Oh, I didn't do that on the YouTube. Never mind.
No,
it's there. I'm not going to put these links in. That takes work.
There's probably some.
I could do something.
Where
I could put the link in, but I'm not going to. Just whatever.
I love that you tried.
37 episodes in, and we started doing this now. Maybe it's just going to be nothing but links.
Peggy Sue Got Married.
So Peggy Sue Got Married, and then Laurie Holden is in this one, named Adele, who... She was also named Adele in The Majestic, which you can watch that video
here and then down.
Oh, okay. I'm not putting these links in.
Yes.
And for the audio version of it, just go to
I like it.
That's all of them. So I just really thought that was funny.
It was funny though too because she was his love interest and they both look very young in the other one, and then now I wouldn't say she was the mom. Young. She does, but I wouldn't say she was the mom, but she technically was a figure that was age-wise older than him, right? Like,
no, than Jim Carrey?
Yeah.
In this one?
Yeah.
I think they're the same age in this one. She's playing the not the cougar, she's
a cougar, though.
No, in this one...
She's married to an older man.
Is that cougar? That's not cougar. That's gravedigger. Or grave robber. What is it called?
She's married to an older man.
Yeah, she wants the older man's money.
Yeah.
What's that phrase
But
called?
I guess theoretically Jim and Jeff Daniels are 20 years past it anyway, so it's fine. Yeah, they're all about the same age.
I feel like they're actually older than her character's supposed to be.
Oh, okay.
In the show.
Yeah.
What's it called when a young woman
cougar.
No, that's an old woman going after a young guy.
What's an old woman? Oh,
a young woman going after a gold digger, not a grave digger. I knew it was there. A good digger in there somewhere.
We're getting messy now.
A little bit, but yeah, I really like the fact that both of them were in it, and both of them have had characters.
He obviously, I feel like he probably has some pull in some of his movies, and he probably was like, I liked working with her. I liked working with him or her. Blah blah blah, and has a little bit of influence in pulling people in that he's enjoyed working with before, which is great. I think it's good. And I think they're great actors and actresses. I mean, like I said, I thought those two women were great. Amazing. I thought they did really good in their roles. It was
everything else around.
It was Jim and Jeff and the storyline that was sad, but they did great. Yeah. They didn't do anything wrong.
So there's the one thing towards the last 20-ish minutes. I don't know where it is. I have a note. Well, I have two notes. First, the cocktail line where it's like, oh, does Dr. So-and-so want to come into the cocktail reception? And Jim Carrey is like, yes, Dr. So-and-so. It's like, finally, he's actually a smart character, a smart moment. Okay. It was a funny jokes right there.
Okay.
Does he have Asperger's? It's like, I don't know how he wipes his butt or something like that. I was like, okay, that's the kind of joke that should have been going out through the whole movie. But then when Jeff Daniels is yelling at Jim Carrey, and Jim Carrey gets emotional about not being able to bone Jeff Daniels' daughter.
Yes, okay.
We see it. You and I both made the comment.
Like, the eyes.
There it is! And it's the moment where Jim Carrey is once
wobbly
again.
Lip.
Yeah. It's like
but he's good. He can pull it up. He can pull it up in Dumb and Dumber. He can pull it up in The Majestic. He can pull it up in Truman Show.
Everything.
If he needs to have the eye movement, the eye moment of the tear up, but not quite cry, but tear up and
he's got that on lockdown.
Emotion here. I mean,
he's got it. It's
can we have something else though? I know. Sorry, but
this is 20.
It makes me feel like you're cheapening it.
A little, you think
so?
Yes. So just like the rest of all of the comedy.
Because I buy into it in the other movies, and then if you do it in something like this, I'm like,
nah.
You just do that in every one now.
Was it warranted?
Yeah.
Would Lloyd Christmas actually tear up at that? That kind of information, he'd probably fake it.
You can tear up in a different way.
Right.
He does it the same way.
Right.
There's a different way to do it.
I'm not knocking Jim Carrey for being able to cry on cue, basically.
It's hard to do.
It is hard to do, but it's like, it is that moment where you're like, oh, he can do this.
It doesn't fit the movie.
It doesn't fit the movie, but his acting skills are there, which is the whole point of this podcast.
Well, his tear-ups
are good. But it's like, finally, there's some emotional connection, which we talked about in Jim Carrey 2, or in Ace Ventura 2. It was a movie that needed emotional connection. This movie needed emotional connection.
Totally.
And when he has it, and it's like, yeah, there it is. We got it. We got the Jim Carrey we want to watch.
Like I said, I was disappointed in the beginning, and I'm still disappointed now. Mm-hmm. Jim, you have done enough movies between 1994 and 2014 to know that... I'm not saying don't do a movie that's fun. Mm-hmm. I'm saying just choose wiser and be more picky about what you want to give your talents to, because if you give it to too many things, it gets diluted, and then it's not as funny. And so and he did. I feel like maybe after this, and there was a break, and it was a while, and then we had Sonic, and then I love Sonic. Yeah. And like when we see Sonic and we watch it, we're like, he had like some fresh ideas, and he was Jim, but he was even more, crazy and doing his thing, and it's like, you just appreciate it so much more. And this, something like, to me, like this, you're it's diluting it.
Yeah, you're not really, you're not really helping
your
anything.
skills.
And it's really, looking at the list of stuff, like I Love You, Phyllis Morris was 2009, which, phenomenal movie. Yes, man, great movie. Yes. I Love You, Philip Morris. We watched it together. We were both just like, this was a freaking good movie.
It was a really good movie. And he's
Burt Wonderstone, Kick Ass, both mediocre movies. Mr. Popper's Penguins, to me, it was a mediocre. I didn't hate it. It was a mediocre movie.
It was a kid movie.
It was a kid's movie. But like, to come back into the big physical comedy with this and just have it be so disappointing is just so sad.
I think that's why I didn't even know about it, and I probably, a lot of people don't even know that he actually did this, and that only true
Jim Carrey fans,
not even Jim Carrey fans, Dumb and Dumber fans would have been like, I gotta go see this. But everyone else was like, I like Jim Carrey, but I don't really think I want to see this.
So after he does this, it's 2 years, and then he does Bad Batch and Dark Crimes, which are both like,
I don't know either of those.
Real, I think they're both real gritty stuff. And so, like, I'm very excited to see those two.
I am too, except that I feel like he probably did this and he was like, I need to take a break and like change gears.
And then he went, he did this, and he's like, maybe this isn't what I need to do. And then he goes and does Sonic, which Sonic was super fun. So,
I think this is his low point.
These last 4 years of 2010 to 2014, I feel like are his low point, but I think this was also when he was dealing with just like a lot of like personal issues and stuff.
I understand
and it's like, you're trying to still go doing work, you're trying to still like bring joy to people, but it's like, maybe you just need to step away for a little while and like
be a little more picky.
He went and did all this painting in the last 5 years since 2020, and it's like,
be more picky and just be like, I don't need the money.
Yeah.
I only, like, if I'm going to put my face out there and my characters out there, I want it to be a little more important or just better written or whatever it is,
So, this was released November 2014, 109 minutes. It cost $50 million. And now you've got Jeff Daniels and Jim Carrey. Like, where does that $50 million go? Not only do you have Jeff Daniels and Jim Carrey, but you have Laurie Holden and Kathleen Turner, which are both big, fairly. Kathleen Turner's a little bit bigger.
Even Rob Riggle probably made a decent amount.
Yeah, and it's like, how much of that $50 million went to anything else except just like location costs and them? And it's like, I don't know.
None of the locations were amazing. I even wrote that down. I said, I really wrote. There's something more magical about being in the snowy mountains. Yeah. Like, the first one was just nicer because it was snowy and pretty and like lovely.
It's a Christmas movie, right?
This was like I mean,
is Dumb and Dumber a Christmas movie?
We're in El Paso. Yeah. Like, El Paso, Texas. I mean, sorry. There is
Sorry, El Paso. You suck. No.
I love Big Bend. Not Big Bend. Big Bend. And it is pretty out there. Yes, it is. There's really some beautiful areas out there, and I do love it. But it is... To me, I just think there's something magical about snowy mountains.
Yeah, so they're going to the Colorado or going to the Rockies. Yeah. Like, it's fun, and it's the fact that it's like they're on that shitty ass motorcycle.
It's funny.
And going into the mountains.
And going to What was it? Vale or where would they go?
Aspen, where the beer flows like wine and the women instinctively flock. Okay, so Dumb and Dumber had so many quotable lines in it too. This one just doesn't.
Nothing.
Like I can't think of a single
Nothing's
thing in
funny.
here that's like, except for the Titanic whore and the toe jam sucking something or other. But there's no good like quotable things. If I go to my friends, there's a big gulp. Everyone knows exactly what I'm talking about. Or John Denver's full of shit. Everyone knows exactly what I'm quoting.
You're right.
Like,
it's different.
I get it.
Okay, we need to wrap this up.
I
35 minutes in, and we're only just bad mouthing it.
We get so angry. Anger and fear are the human emotions that people hold on to.
I mean, this is our job. This is what we signed up for.
Yeah.
We did not like Dumb and Dumber 2.
Yeah.
But I don't know what else.
Did we like the girl? Did we like the girl who played the daughter?
No,
she was pretty fucking annoying.
She was really annoying and like just a caricature of her character.
She's a caricature of Jim and Jeff. She's a character of Harry and Lloyd.
Yeah,
like she's the worst of both of them.
Yeah,
which is real kind of sad. But it's like I didn't even look about what else that girl has done.
Don't even.
And it's like
don't waste time on it.
I don't even need to worry about it. So it was a budget of $50 million. Going back to that conversation of the budget, it made $169.8 million.
That's a lot.
So I mean it
those
tripled,
are all either Jim Carrey / Dumb and Dumber fans who are like very.
I have to watch this.
Yes,
I have to watch this.
But I will guarantee you, nobody is buying this on Amazon.
We rented it. I'm not buying it. If I had it, I thought it was going to be on Netflix.
Yeah.
So, rating wise, what do you give it?
5 is a push.
5 is a push.
4.5.
Yeah. You were very generous.
Yeah.
You're actually giving it right around the average, 5.6 for people. I'm giving it like a 3.
Yeah.
There were 3 moments that I thought were pretty funny.
Yeah.
And other than that, it's like overall the comedy just wasn't there. Jim's a good actor, but like you said, he's kind of he's pulling the same tricks, but he's also forced to do that in this horribly written script and like thing. Like there are 3 moments that I can think of that are funny. There's the train hitting Rob Riggle totally unexpectedly.
Yeah.
The kind of the catheter moment at the beginning because it's so intense.
Yeah.
And then kind of the moments where Jim becomes Jim again. It's like, oh, he's funny in Jim Carrey.
Yeah.
But you did say that you want to be Bush bro.
I did.
Shrub Club.
I like the gag.
The
I
gimmick
thought the gag
of
was
Shrub
funny.
Club.
I want someone to push me into a bush and be like, what do they call it? Shrub Club. Bush something too.
I don't remember what the Bush one was, but
I just think it's funny.
Club.
Like I want someone to push me in a bush.
No,
I think it's funny.
I'll take care of that. Don't you worry. So that wraps it up for us. I give it a 3.5. Carrie gives it a 5, a 4.5, or a 5. Dumb and Dumber 2, not worth your time.
No, don't even try.
Just go watch Dumb and Dumber again.
Yeah.
And like pay half as much of attention. You'll still
that.
have a better experience.
Yeah, totally.
Thank you guys so much for hanging out with us. Hope that you are staying safe. I hope that you have happy holidays. Hope that you are able to spend time with family in a safe and careful way, and be with the ones that you love.
Yes.
Because that's what this movie was all about, is being with the ones you love, and especially if they owe you a kidney. Or just, I don't know.
Or not.
So thank you for watching the Jim Carrey Project. I'm Brian Kondrach.
Cary Grant.
Shrub Club!